On the My Flow to Green podcast, we're going to talk about a number of things. We're going to talk about general education with cannabis. We're going to talk about the Florida state laws around cannabis. And we're going to share some successful testimonies about how people have used cannabis and gotten great outcomes. So, Nick, what are some of the things that you're most excited about?
I'm excited about all three, honestly, but patient education, I think, is the most important aspect to becoming certified for medical marijuana and having successful outcomes. People need to understand the different routes, modalities, the cannabinoids, how to use the products. You know, we're so stigmatized by the media as well as history, where we associate marijuana or medical marijuana with someone smoking a joint, and it's so much deeper than that. Ingesting and metabolizing cannabinoids is so much more medicinal than smoking, and we'll get into that, right? And then the state laws ever so changing, and it's gotten a little bit ridiculous, but hopefully we can be the voice for patients and try to push through and get some of that changed. And then the testimonials, we have testimonials every day, right? So it's pretty phenomenal to be a part of it.
That's just fantastic. And I think what's led people to that is, to your point, the education. Because there's so many different subtle differences in how to use cannabis for a number of conditions, such a wide range of conditions. And our goal is really to help educate folks to get the most out of that plant, to get the best result for their condition and get to where they need to be. And without that education, it becomes the Wild West.
That's right.
And I think that's what kind of sparks and continues the stigmatization about cannabis that doesn't need to be there anymore.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know, education, we're at the forefront of that. We have an incredible platform that we put together, and the patient's successful outcomes is our number one priority, as well as satisfaction.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, the only way that we're going to really improve our health in the broken system we're in today is taking control.
Medical freedom.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only way to maintain medical freedom, is for us to have these discussions, help educate folks, and empower people to get the most out of this.
Yeah, empowering them is definitely a key, for sure.
Welcome to the My Flow to Green podcast. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the history of cannabis, how it became illegal. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the medicinal benefits associated with the cannabis and how we can get the most out of the plant.
Awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about the history, okay? So cannabis has been around for thousands of years and used medicinally for thousands of years across many different cultures. Why do you think in the last, maybe 100 years, it's been considered the devil's lettuce?
Well, I think there's a lot of big pharma associated with that, but I believe, and I don't know the exact year, but in 1930s, William Hearst, right, he was a big paper manufacturer, and he teamed up with Anslinger, who was known as the first DEA agent, and they launched a war on cannabis, which is called Reefer Madness today, right? So very interesting the way that it played out, but I would say William Hearst was the equivalent of Mark Zuckerberg back in those days. So he controlled all the newspapers, which means he controlled the media. And the war was actually started with hemp and not necessarily cannabis, right? So hemp paper could be recycled and reused multiple times. It could be erased on. And just for those two reasons, it was an immediate threat to William Hearst's business.
That is quite interesting. And it seems like there's a number of industries that hemp would have interfered with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can make some of the
Still
best
to this
ropes.
day.
Exactly. The best roasts, some of the best clothing can be made.
Cars.
Cars, right?
Jets.
Cars. So you're looking at a number of industries
Fuel.
there.
Yeah, you can pretty much check all the boxes for all
fuel,
industries.
Cotton, wood.
Yes, yeah.
So, and then, talking about big pharma, because cannabis has been known, was in the pharmacopoeia for over 100 years, for about almost 100 years.
You see those old pictures with like the cough medicines and other medicines that they gave children, actually, which is kind of entertaining.
It's interesting. Yeah. If you look, if anybody wants to Google it, you can. It's a substance called laudanum. And they even had dosing right on the bottle and what to give infants.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And from elderly to infants.
Well, you know what's funny? Holding that thought is breast milk has cannabinoids very similar to the marijuana plant. So that makes a lot of sense. So when a baby is attached to the breast and the eyes roll back in the head, it's more politically correct to say the baby's milk drunk when they're actually milk stoned. So a lot of people don't know that either. So it's not surprising to see that they gave children cannabinoids, because cannabinoids are a natural occurrence in our body anyway. We all test positive, or we all have THC in our body. It's just when they test us, they're testing the level. So I always find that interesting.
I love that you bring that up, because you're talking about the endocannabinoid system, and it's a series of receptors that run all throughout our body to help regulate all of our major systems. And when we metabolize cannabis, not smoke it, but metabolize it,
Yeah.
big difference,
Right.
Because there's an enzyme in our liver that helps break it down.
Yep.
That's when it becomes most medicinal because we can help refuel the endocannabinoid system to help us heal more naturally.
Yep.
It's almost as if our bodies are hardwired for cannabis.
Our bodies are hardwired to heal. We know that. I mean, you have a wife who's given birth. My wife has given birth a few times, and to see them rebound from that trauma is unbelievable. So, I mean, humans are built to heal, especially women. I mean, God made them have the babies for a reason because I don't think men could handle that. But yeah, no, it's interesting, and then the powers to be, or the people that are trying to block it, ironically, are in the medicine business, right? So, so pharmaceutical business. So, a little disheartening. But the more we can get the word out there, and the more that people can fully understand that this stuff is medicinal, it can actually fuel your system's natural ability to heal. It's not all about getting high, right? So, you're taking phytocannabinoids that match your endocannabinoids, endo being inside, so you're fueling your system's natural ability to balance and heal. And we're constantly beating that system up through drugs, toxins, vaccines, and so on, alcohol, right? So, that system is constantly missing and never balancing out. So when we take the phytocannabinoids and that match our endocannabinoids, you're balancing out, you're accomplishing what's called homeostasis, and that's the status that our body needs to reach in order to heal naturally. So,
And that's a status that most people struggle with, especially as we get older.
right from birth, they load us up with 250 so many vaccine drugs. Whether you agree with it or not, but that's what's happening right at the beginning. So I mean, our system's broken right at the get go. So
It is, and we need that help. And this is a great plant-based alternative to kind of help maintain all of that.
going back to the breast milk thing, ironically, that's why they say that it's the most natural way to build the immune system and health with the baby is through breast milk. So it's weird how there's this huge correlation between breast milk cannabinoids and the endocannabinoid system. So the more we realize, the more we understand that we've been duped. So
I couldn't agree more. And something that we hear a lot is people's apprehension for trying THC because it's been considered this evil thing their whole life. But in reality, once you start to understand some of the different nuances of the plant, how the different parts of the plant can treat so many different conditions, that starts to remove the fear a little bit.
Yeah. Well, there's 115 cannabinoids to the plant, right? So, and the two most medicinals, THC and CBD. The THC is the fun stuff, we always say, right? Binds to the receptor. That's what makes you psychotropic, or AKA high. But it can help induce sleep, help treat your pain, help negate muscle spasms, bacteria, stuff like that. And then CBD blocks the receptor, so it can actually reverse the psychotropic effect. And that's something that we really want to ingrain in people's minds, because if they are apprehensive to taking THC for the first time, then CBD will negate that feeling and actually reverse the effect. And gosh, I wish I knew that. When I went to Colorado, like a lot of us did, back in 2015, and my first edible experience was 100 milligram Chiba Chew at a dispensary, and I didn't think I was dying. I thought I died and went to the other side, and I was trying to get back. It was the worst psychedelic experience I've ever had in my life. And gosh, had I known that I could use CBD to negate the psychotropic effect, I would have felt a lot more comfortable, or at least been able to reverse it. But no one teaches you that at the dispensary in a recreational state. So I think the more education we could put out there, the better.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, what better natural Narcan than having CBD to help reverse that and mitigate? And I think it's important to bring up too that cannabis is an individual response.
Yeah, everybody's different.
Everyone's different.
Yeah.
What works well for you is going to work different for me than someone else, and everyone has different conditions they're dealing with. So that's why I say it's nuanced. There's all these subtle differences on how to use the plant and get what you need out of it.
Another reason why Big Pharma can't synthesize it or take hold of it either, because everybody is unique, everybody is different, everybody has a different endocannabinoid system. The redhead gene, right? So the redhead gene, people who have redhead gene usually have a higher tolerance to THC, alcohol, pain medication, right? So, and a lot of people don't know that either. We have redhead patients that come in here all the time, and they're like, I can't get any relief. I try this product, or I need massive amounts of milligrams. We're just like, oh my gosh, you're inhuman. But once you start going into the research, me as an example, I'm super sensitive to THC. I don't really like how I feel when I use THC. I use it every night to go to sleep. But you need a little bit of THC to make it all medicinal too. I mean, the more cannabinoids you have that you're ingesting, the more keys on a piano, the more of a song you're playing. Isolate products like one cannabinoid isolate, CBD is nonsense. You need massive amounts of it. It becomes toxic to the liver. And that's like hitting one key on a piano. You want to hear a song. So 5 to 7 keys at any given time. And that's kind of a layman's way of explaining it for full spectrum cannabinoid product, right? And that's, what we all believe in here.
Absolutely. It kind of goes back to the old adage, the sum is greater than the whole. That's kind of how cannabinoids work.
Right.
That's kind of how our endocannabinoid system is wired. It all works as one unit.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
No, and the results we see is just incredible, right? But who is sleeping in this day and age, right? With what's going on in the world, it's just unfathomable, and we're so pumped with disinformation. We're regurgitating metadata while we're staring at digital boxes all day. No wonder why there's ADD and ADHD running rampant through our communities and societies, and our children at such a young age. I mean, they can't focus because there's so much stimulation around, right? So it's really hard to kind of hone in. And now, with access to natural alternatives, you can kind of take the focus away from that, regurgitating of metadata and stuff like that by fueling your system's natural ability to balance. But the more restrictive the access is, the harder it is to put the message out there, right? It's getting a little more difficult, even as we mature as a market.
It's been crazy, all the different changes. I mean, just in the last couple of years, how many changes they put out. But it's just so gratifying to be here, and part of what you built was the Doc app. And I think people need to understand, too, that there's a lot of work that goes into staying ahead of these changes.
Yeah. Well, for every archaic rule and regulation that the state of Florida has put into place, we've created software and technology to streamline that process. One of the biggest, I would say kick in the face to us was this exemption rule, this RFE rule that the state just implemented back in August of 2022, where they restrict the amount of milligrams that a patient can access over a 70-day rolling allotment, which created complete chaos within the medical marijuana community. I don't want to say industry. I hate that word because it's not an industry. It's a medical marijuana program. But you have patients who have found the milligrams that works for their relief. They found a product that works for them, and they can no longer access it because of this 70-day rolling allotment. Whoever put that in place should be in jail, in my opinion. I believe that's a criminal charge. You're literally not only practicing medicine, you're overruling a doctor's recommendation. But the state requires an exemption now where the doctor's practices have to submit a form to enable patients to access their regimens that they were using this whole time, and it's all ridiculous. But it's like almost like a stupid little game. But we play right along, and we paved the way for the technology, and we've made it nice and easy. And I think we probably set the record for RFE requests through the state of Florida. And I say that and chuckle inside because the whole thing's ridiculous, right? So yet there's a recreational bill that's potentially on the ballot. So what's the point? You're restricting and stepping on the heads of these patients to pave the way for recreation. You're making it more difficult to frustrate the patient, and now everyone's going to potentially vote on this, smart and safe bill, which is dumb and reckless, in my opinion. I digress.
It really is. I mean, that exemption process alone, it just makes me think, how many patients, got frustrated out of the program that weren't a part of our platform, right?
Yeah,
they
and
got frustrated, walked away. Now
all
they're
the
back
doctors that won't do it either.
Right?
Yeah,
and there's doctors that are scared to do it, and now they're back on opiates or whatever else that they're taking.
Yeah, we've documented a few of them. Yeah,
and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, who's responsible for putting that dumb rule in place anyway? And what is that protecting? It's not protecting our communities and societies. What it's doing is creating nothing but havoc. Now you got people that are going to the streets to buy marijuana products because they're restricted with the amount of milligrams. You got patients that are going back to opioids, going back to heroin, going back to alcohol. 45% of our patients quit drinking alcohol because of cannabis, and now they're going to go back to alcohol. Who's responsible for that? I almost want their head.
I couldn't agree more. And then when you look at the why, right? Going back thousands of years of data that we have on cannabis, not one person has died.
Never. No one. You can feel like you're going to if you eat that 100 milligram Chibaju. I can tell you that for sure. But no, it's unbelievable. But who's in charge of it all? That's the question. And they look silly. They absolutely look silly, but that's why we've spent the time and effort building this platform, paving the way, facilitating the access for patients. the patient side app for our patients, is just absolutely phenomenal, where the patients can communicate with us. They can request the exemption right through the app now. So that took a while to build, but our streamlined process and approach to that has been working very well. Patients are getting their approvals very quickly for their exemptions. But again, it's silly, but we're going to keep playing the game. They're going to continue to implement rules and regulations that will just build technology to pave the way. So I just I hope there's no retaliatory efforts from the state side as we continue to reach out to them, continue to try to collaborate with them on working together. I mean, our platform bridges the gap between the doctor and the patient and the state, and we can literally make them look like heroes. I've said that in our previous episodes, but somebody needs to wake up and see that our intent is pure, right? We're in this for the right reasons. This isn't a money grab for us. The recreational or adult use, that is all a money grab. That is the reason why they're doing that is just specifically for the intent of grabbing as much cash as possible to appease their investors. We're still in this. We're responsible. We built the foundation and the fundamentals for these people, for these dispensaries to be in business right now, right? You can't kick us in the face or step on our heads or step on the patient's heads just to pave the way so you can make money, especially when we've invested so much time, effort, and money in creating, the different rooms that we have, our modules, right? We document, the route and the strain that gets people off of prescription medications, the route and the strain that's helped people alleviate their anxiety. So, I mean, we have a whole database built. I mean, it's very valuable information for people that want it, but we're obviously not for sale. We're just going to keep giving patients access to all of it and hope for the best.
Well, I just got to tell you, on behalf of all the patients in the program, myself included, I appreciate you sticking with this and continuing to create solutions because, I come from a bit of a tech background myself. I know the amount of work that goes into building some of the things that you've built to stay on top of these rules and regulation changes. And it's not like we get a heads up. It's not like, in 2 weeks, we're going to change this rule.
Yeah.
They'll tell us, and it's today.
Yeah.
And that means you got to work 3 times as hard to build the software to make sure that we keep it seamless for our patients.
Well, thank you for recognizing that. To put salt in the wound, there is one dispensary that knew about it way ahead of time, right? And that's the same dispensary that's sponsoring the Smart and Safe bill. So kind of weird if you put those 2 dots together. But, we have a huge veteran following. You're a Marine, right? And thank you for your service. We charge military or former veteran military one time, and then they never have to pay for their follow-ups again. I feel responsible, or at least responsible to make an effort to try to reduce that 22 suicides per day. So I think that we'll continue on that mission, and we do a lot of good for the community. We do a lot of good for the medical marijuana patient, and I think all that good juju and good karma follows us, and I think we're going to be okay no matter what. But the people on the state side need to wake up.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, if they just seen, I've got a lot of veteran friends here locally, and I can tell you that the things that the VA is prescribing for them, it makes it worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't tell you how many times that I've heard stories from people, from veterans specifically, either from their spouses or someone close to them. I got my husband back.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. Yeah,
I got my husband back. I mean, and just crying, so happy and they'll tell you, I felt like a zombie. We ask veterans military members to risk their lives.
Yeah.
In any circumstance, be it in training or in combat. And to have them come home and just hop them up on a bunch of pills and make them a zombie, that's criminal.
And it's not, I agree with you, it's not 3 or 4 pills either. It's like 20, 30, 40 different medications. Like when these vets come in and they lay it all out on the table, because we document everything. I mean, we are legitimate here. Patients suffer from debilitating conditions, and we document their medical condition. And part of that is taking pictures of their medications. And these guys stack this stuff up like it's a pyramid on the table. It's disheartening and kind of gross, because you almost wonder, how does your liver look? How do your insides look when you're taking all this synthetic medicines? But isn't it ironic that there is a drug and a prescription to treat the side effect of the drug that you're already taking, right? It's just an intricate system, and it doesn't get any better. It gets worse.
Pills, side effects, more pills, more side effects.
Yeah.
Or you can get a plant.
Yeah.
Never killed anyone. I mean,
side effects include belly laughs, long night's sleep, giggles, right? Some paranoia and anxiety, which you can reverse with CBD. I mean, sign me up. good.
I've been signed up for almost 5
Yeah.
years now, loving it. I mean, it's just been a game changer for me
Yeah.
personally, so I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no, we're honored to have you running the show here, and it's been phenomenal. For our team's amazing. You know, we'll go above and beyond for anybody, and the people that are walking through the door just all day today. It's just been phenomenal. You know, there's goods, there's bads. You know, there's mediums. You know, so but. I think we're on the right path and doing the right thing, and I think that the people appreciate it for sure.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we have a team here who's really, understands why we do what we do,
Yeah.
and they live it. It's
Yeah.
not just people that, we're training and they're regurgitating information. I mean, these are people that are living it and they're absorbing it, and they're passionate about getting the word out. And
Yeah.
anybody who comes in is going to experience that.
Well, and people need to know too that your encounter with the doctor is minimal, right? The doctor is going to answer medical questions with you, but nobody in here is wearing scrubs or and the doctor's not in a white coat because they're usually delivering bad news, right? So we're very casual here, but also that the positive outcome is the priority. And if you need medical questions answered, you're going to deal with the doctor. You're going to do have the physical exam with the doctor, but then you have a whole team of advocates that are going to help you discover what the right route is, what the right strain is. And the doctors give you, our Mindful and Green doctors give you maximum dosing with access to all products. So, and then it's our job to empower you through education and technology. And I think we do a good job with that too, and the people appreciate it.
I couldn't agree more. Something that I think we both believe in is mindset. Mindset can really set you on the path to healing. And when you come in, you get empowered with education. You've got technology to keep your head straight on the whole thing. You get to talk to the doctor, people who are very knowledgeable about this. I know I can confidently say that many people leave and they feel really good about the direction they're going to head, and the fact they got support. Because going beyond this, I think it's important for people to understand that this is individual response. Everyone's it's going to take some trial and error. And that's why we got great technology to communicate. Talk to us. Let us help you reshift where you're going with this.
Once in a while, we'll lose somebody for their 7-month follow-up. They'll go to somewhere that's closer, more convenient, even though we can do virtual follow-ups now. And that's it's a little heartbreaking, but at least we know they were educated correctly. So wherever they go next, I mean, they already learned the basics and understand the fundamentals between the different routes and strains and stuff like that. So
and that's the key to beginning this the right way. So any final thoughts on just the history of cannabis and some of the benefits that we didn't cover?
Yeah, I definitely encourage people to look into it a little deeper. Don't associate it with somebody smoking a joint, because it's a lot deeper than that. You can do that. I mean, if that's all you want, that smoking is just the tip of the iceberg. You absorb and pass it almost instantly. It's an instant onset, so if you're in pain, it can take you out really fast. Or vaping, smoking or vaping. But you're not replenishing your endocannabinoid system with smoking, so we'll always encourage people to do both, to do tincture or edibles in conjunction with smoking if they, need to. But, the data that we aggregate is pretty phenomenal. And recently I looked at, and I'll send a slide in for this, but where edibles is at par, if not a little more of a used modality than smoking. So. Yeah. So that's actually music to my ears, because that's what we try to teach people. It's a lot deeper than just smoking. So, and you're not going to teach an old lady how to smoke a joint. I'm sorry, 89-year-old grandma that comes in here that's just diagnosed with Parkinson's. You're not teaching them to smoke a joint. They might be able to eat a gummy or a tincture, and we'll be happy to facilitate whichever route they want to go.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah,
it's always a fantastic
appreciate you being
conversation.
here.
It's an honor. It's amazing to see some of these patient outcomes. And
Yeah.
people come in and they're happier after 7 months.
Yeah, the 7-month follow-ups are the best. Yeah, everybody's smiling, everybody's sleeping better, So, but yeah, we'll keep this going.
Hey, always.
All right. Hopefully people like, share, comment, watch this, and can relate. And, we really want to get the word out there. Like I said, our intent is pure.
Absolutely.
All right. Cool, man.